This is the Olight ArkPro, a 1500 lumens flashlight that has a floodlight, a spotlight, a UV light, and a freaking laser. This is a really cool EDC light, and there's a lot to cover, so let's dive right in. Okay guys, so this is the Olight ArkPro, and there's a lot to like about this light. This is the graphite and silver version. They have some other colors. They have a phantom white and a matte black, but I really like the graphite silver kind of two-tone look. It's a really sharp looking light overall. And it's hard to overemphasize how much I like this light. I don't often use the word perfect, but this light is about as close to the perfect EDC light as you can possibly get. It's a nice flat, slim profile, all aluminum metal construction, a really nice pocket clip, a simple UI, which we'll get into a little bit, but you just use the toggle switch here to switch between spotlight, floodlight, UV light. And then on the side here, you got a button to activate the laser, and you have on the other side a USB-C recharging port with the MCC magnetic charging on the back that Olight is just really well known for. So there's just a lot to like about this light. It's kind of got everything in a nice compact package, and the run times and everything are pretty good. And looking at the business end of this particular light, we have the two primary white lights. On the top, you have the UV light, and on the very bottom is where the laser comes out of. And obviously with lasers, we don't want to be looking straight into that, especially toward my camera, which that would not be good. So that's kind of the quick walk around the features of this particular light. Let's go ahead and dive into the details of the light. So we're going to cover the size and weight of this light, how you actually use the light, the brightnesses and the run times of the light, how you charge it. Then we will get it outside so you can see just how powerful it is in the real world and some of the use cases I see for this particular light. Because there's a couple of things that are unique about it, which make it, I think, even better than just a standard EDC light that has different modes. One example is you can use the laser while using the white light, which is really cool if you're trying to point things out in a dark area like an attic or something like that. So now the light is 4.88 inches long, 1.06 inches wide, and 0.68 inches thick. A really nice overall size for an EDC light. It's big enough that it has the room it needs to pack a lot of power, but it's not so big that it's gonna feel like a brick on the side of your belt. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get a couple other Olights out so you can see the size comparisons, because Olight has a couple offerings in the size category and it can get a little confusing on which one might be right for you. So the first light up is the Olight Arkfeld. This is the Ultra version, which is their proprietary aluminum. It's a really cool light, and it compares quite nicely to the ArkPro. Now, a lot of people online, it's hard to tell just the difference between the two, so I'm just going to put them side by side here. So let's do it this way. I think the contrast is a little better. If you put them right next to each other, and I try to line up the bottom as best as possible, you can see that it's just a smidge longer than the original Arkfeld. And the thickness itself is very similar. Probably just a hair thicker, or wider I should say. Probably just a hair wider. And then the thickness itself, kind of looking straight down there. Hopefully my camera will focus. It's just really hard to tell just looking at it, but when you feel it, it feels like the ArkPro is slightly thicker than the Arkfeld, but it's not a huge difference. And for the extra capability that the ArkPro has, I think it's a pretty clear winner. Taking a close look at the two dials on the front, you can see that the ArkPro has a larger dial than the Arkfeld, and the ArkPro also has some status LED indicators, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but the Arkfeld does not. So moving that aside, we also have the Warrior 3, and this is again the Ultra version, but the size and everything of this is going to be the same as the standard Warrior 3. Now this is a more powerful light, but you can see it's quite a bit bigger. So lining these up in the end, you can see that the Warrior 3 sticks out quite a bit past the ArkPro. And then the thickness is where you really get nailed. The Warrior is about an inch in diameter, maybe a little bit more, especially with the pocket clip, where the ArkPro is 0.68 inches, and it's flat. It doesn't, these round lights, they really push into your hip and kind of creates a pressure point, or these more flat designed lights carry more like a pocket knife. They're a little bit more comfortable. And the Warrior 3, just handling it is significantly heavier, but it's also a little bit more capable light, but it's only a single LED versus the multi-light function that you have with the ArkPro. So that's something else you give up. So if you are just wanting the most powerful light possible, the Warrior 3 is going to be a good option. But if you want some versatility without giving up too much power, the ArkPro is a really nice option. So this review is about the ArkPro. Let's get the other lights out of the way. I just want to do a quick side-by-side comparison because it can be a little hard to see online the differences between the similar models. Now let's talk about charging the light itself and the battery inside. You have a 2000 milliamp hour battery, which is pretty good size for a light of this size, and you'll see that reflected in the run times. Now there's two ways to charge this particular light. Olight does provide a MCC charger, which just sticks on the bottom of the light, which is one of Olight's kind of trademark features, is they have a magnetic charger on almost all of their products. But the ArkPro also has the benefit of having this USB-C port on the side, which I really like, because if you leave your magnetic charger at home or you're on a trip or something like that, it's one less cable that you have to carry around with you. You can just use your standard USB-C charger that you use for your phone or other electronic devices, and you're ready to go with the ArkPro. So that's one of the things I really like about the ArkPro over something like the Warrior 3 or the Arkfeld even doesn't have the USB-C port on the side. It's just the magnetic charger on the back. So yeah, as far as the battery capacity and the charging, the Arkfeld is a clear win in my book. Now, something to note about charging is the USB-C port charges faster than the magnetic tail cap there. When charging with the USB-C port, you can expect charging times of around an hour and 30 minutes, an hour and 40 minutes right in there. Where the magnetic tail cap, I didn't see it specified and I didn't actually test it, but from what I have researched, it does take a little bit longer, which, you know, if you're just going to put on the charger overnight, it's not a big deal. It's going to charge relatively quickly, but if you want the fastest charging possible, that you're going to want to use the USB-C port on the side. That's a good time to talk about the LED status indicators on the dial here. When you're charging it, the right side here is your charge status indicator. I'll throw some screenshots up here so it's a little bit easier to see. But the right half of this wheel is the LED status indicator for the battery percent state of charge. And the left side of the wheel here is the LED status indicators to show you the total output your light is putting out. So if I double press, you're going to see that it fills up completely on the left side. And then if I just turn it off and go into Moonlight mode, you'll see that the left side just has one little bar. Same is true on the right side for charging. When it's fully depleted, the LEDs will go down to the minimum status there. And when it's fully charged, all the LEDs will be illuminated. So that's a nice visual indicator. I really like it. Now, as we talked about earlier in this video, this light does have 4 different lighting modes. We have the spotlight, the floodlight, the UV light, and the laser. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through all the different button sequences and how you get into all these different modes. I'm going to break it into 2 sections. We'll have the white light modes, and then we'll have the specialty light modes. So to get into the different modes, you just simply toggle from left to right or right to left. There's 3 positions. The far left is the spotlight mode. The center position is the floodlight mode, and the right position is the UV mode. When the light is off, you press and hold to get the Moonlight mode, which is 1 lumens. Then from there, you press and hold to get into the low, medium, and high settings, and it will just cycle through them, which is super simple. So low, medium, high, low, medium, high. And then to get into the turbo mode, you double press. And then in spotlight mode, which is what I'm in right now, that'll be 800 lumens. You turn it off, you just press the light off. Now switching to the middle mode, which is the floodlight mode, same thing. You just press and hold to get into the Moonlight mode, which is 1 lumen. And you can barely see that, but it is on. And you just press and hold to get into the low, medium, and high modes. So low, medium, high, low, medium, and high. And this is a powerful light, guys. I can really feel the light coming off it. The light does have memory, so if you turn the light off, you turn it back on, you see it came back into high mode. And let's say I want to go to the low mode. I turn the light off, turn it back on, it's back on in the low mode. Now the spotlight and floodlight do share the same memory, so if I switch to the spotlight mode, you're in the low mode still. And if I bump that up to high and I kick back over to floodlight, you'll see that the floodlight automatically went to the high mode, which is what I set the spotlight to. So that's on a shared power controller or something, which makes a lot of sense. So those are the 2 white light modes. The spotlight has a max output of 800 lumens, and the floodlight has a max output of 1,500 lumens, which you'll see just how bright that is in just a little bit. Now going to the full right-hand side, we have the UV modes, and there's 2 of those as well. Turning it on brings you into the low mode. And then pressing and holding, you'll cycle between the high and low mode. And that high mode, you can really feel it on my hand here. It's got quite a punch to it. So having two brightness settings in the UV mode is actually really clever. The low mode would be great for checking things like your currencies, making sure they're legitimate, checking to see if an area is clean, you know, your standard UV inspection type task. You use it a lot in the industries. I know in the steel fab industry, we use UV lights for dye pen tests and stuff like that to really make sure that we are seeing any cracks or blemishes on the products that we're inspecting. Now the high UV mode, that's powerful enough. You can use it to cure resins. You can use it to disinfect surfaces or clean your water, things like that. So the two UV modes do serve distinct purposes. The low mode is going to be more your kind of inspection tool. And the high mode is actually going to be things that can trigger chemical reactions like your resins or clean surfaces and purify water in a pinch. Hey, are you getting value out of this video? Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel out a lot. And to say thank you, here's a picture of a baby dinosaur. So that's your three primary light modes. On the right hand side here, we have the button, which turns the laser on. So just pressing the button, you'll see the laser comes on, and it comes on in the lower class 1 category. And you press and hold the cycle between the low and high mode, just like the other light modes on this particular light. Now the lowest is class 1 and the high is a class 3R laser, which is pretty powerful. You'll really see how much brighter that is when we take this outside. As I kind of mentioned earlier, you can use the laser while using the other light modes on this light. So now I have the spotlight mode on and I turn the laser on. Now it's a little hard to see here, but you can clearly see the laser in the beam here of the floodlight, which could be really useful. I can think of a lot of cases where you would want to, let's say you're in the attic, you're trying to show a customer something. You need to illuminate the general area so they can get the context of what you're trying to show them. And then you can use the laser to point out the specific issue you're having or the specific area they should be looking. So I actually really like that this light will do both the primary white lights or UV light and the laser at the same time. It's not something I've really thought about, but it's a pretty clever design element. And then when you turn it off, both the laser and the white light or UV light will turn off at the same time. You won't inadvertently leave the laser on thinking you turn the light off. So Olight really thought this through. The functionality of this light is all there, and it does everything you'd want it to, and it doesn't really do anything you wouldn't want it to, which is something I love about Olight. Now there are two other modes I should tell you about. There's the lockout mode. So to get into that, you just press and hold. You'll see the light come on in Moonlight and then turn off, and you are now locked out. I can point the light at the camera and hit the button, and nothing happens. You press and hold for about 2 seconds. You'll see the light come on, and that is how you get out of lockout mode. And then from there, you just press and hold to cycle through the light just like you normally would. There is also a strobe mode on this light. So seizure warning, if you press the button 3 times, 1, 2, 3, you will get into the strobe mode. That will be at the full 1,500 lumens. You turn the light off and it will come back on in the last used mode that wasn't strobe mode. So the strobe mode is not a memory item, which is kind of nice. You won't accidentally strobe yourself. Okay, so that is how you get in and out of all the different modes and how you change the brightnesses and turn the laser on, all the fancy stuff that this light does. I'm going to go ahead and quickly run through the brightnesses and run times of each of the modes because they're a little bit different depending on what mode you're in. Okay, so for the flood mode, which is your most powerful mode, and that's when the toggle switch is in the center position, your turbo mode is 1,500 lumens and has a runtime of about 4 minutes before it starts stepping down due to thermal reasons. The high mode is 520 lumens and has a runtime of about 155 minutes. The medium mode is 100 lumens and runs for 13 hours. And the low mode is 15 lumens and lasts for 72 hours. The Moonlight mode is 1 lumens and will last for 14 days. Now moving the toggle position over to the left, we are in the spotlight mode. And the turbo mode for spotlight mode is 800 lumens, which will run for about 4 minutes before stepping down. And the 400 lumens mode for about 130 minutes after that. The high mode is 400 lumens and will run for about 125 minutes. The medium mode is 100 lumens and will run for 10 hours. The low mode is 15 lumens and will run for 66 hours. And the Moonlight mode is 1 lumens and will run for 14 days. Now let's talk about the UV light. So we'll just toggle the switch all the way to the right here. And there's 2 different brightness modes for this. The high mode will run for about 5 minutes and then start stepping down and then run for 300 minutes. So you're going to get a lot of use out of that high UV beam. And then the low mode for the UV beam is 8 hours, which is actually really good. So if you're a bouncer or something at a club, or you work at a bar or something and you have to be checking currencies frequently, this is going to last you all night long, no problem. Now the green laser doesn't have a runtime specified, but hey, who cares? It's a freaking laser. How cool is that? Okay, so that's enough of me rambling on about the specifications of this light and how cool it looks and all the things it can do. Let's take it outside so you can just see it in action and just how powerful it really is. Okay guys, we are outside in the testing area, aka my backyard. So starting out the spotlight mode in the 1 lumens Moonlight mode, you're not going to be able to see very far. But if I put my hand in front of the camera, you can see it. This would be good for inside a glove box, something like that, but not very bright at all. Now I'm just going to point this at the back wall real quick so you can kind of see how it changes through the different brightnesses. I'm pointing the light straight at the wall back there, and I'm just going to cycle through low, medium, high so you can see the difference. So low, medium, high, low, medium, high. So here's the high mode, just going to leave it on here for a minute. It covers a really good area, but it's extremely floody. There's not much of a hot spot at all. It truly does just illuminate the entire area. Now if I double press for turbo, you can see there is definitely more power. If I go up into the tree there, you can see pretty good detail. The left side there, you can see the house. The closer you get to something, it becomes more usable, but if you get out there 50, 60 feet, the floodlight does start getting a little bit more dissipated. So this would be actually really good for close-up work like inside a car bay, especially since it has that magnetic tail cap. Just stick it to the car hood and you got a nice little work light. So the floodlight is extremely floody on this light, which, you know, that's what's advertised as, a floodlight. Okay, so here is the spotlight mode. And again, we are in the 1 lumens mode. Similar to the flood mode, not very usable far out, but with my hand in front of the camera, you can definitely see it. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm in the low mode now, which is 15 lumens, pointing straight out at the back wall there. So low, medium, high, low, medium, high. And you can see that the spotlight mode is much more concentrated of a beam than the floodlight mode, especially when I look up at like the top of the tree there, the side of the house. It's just a much crisper, sharper image, but that's what you would expect from a spotlight style light. Now I'm going to switch while in the high mode to the floodlight mode, just so you can see how big of a difference it is. So that's the spotlight, floodlight. So the floodlight mode in high is just as bright, but it's dissipating that light over such a large area that it doesn't look as bright at a distance. Now this is turbo on the spotlight mode, and it is much brighter than the high mode. As you can see, everything I point this light to is very well illuminated. But again, in the turbo mode, if I switch to floodlight, there's a big difference. The floodlight really covers a lot of area, but you don't get that nice tight hot spot that the spotlight has. Okay, I have the light in the floodlight mode. I'm just going to go ahead and walk toward the back wall here so you can see kind of what it is illuminating and what it would look like to actually use this light. So you can see it really illuminates a large area, but doesn't provide a large hot spot at all, which, you know, this is kind of like working indoors, fluorescent lights. It's just going to illuminate a very large area. So if you have a project or something and you need to see a large area, this could actually be a pretty nice option. Now I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to the spotlight mode. Much more concentrated light. You can see a lot more. I think there's more detail too. It's a more kind of linear light. So as you point at the things, the detail really comes out. The next mode here is the UV mode. I don't know that we're going to be able to see much at a distance here, but if I put my hand right in front of the camera, you can definitely tell the UV light is working. This is low, and then I'll go ahead and bump it up to high. And this isn't really meant to be an illuminating light. This is, again, an inspection light or a light used to cure products and stuff like that. But if I stand down here by the pot with the UV light on high, this is what you would kind of expect to see illumination-wise. So again, I don't think it's super useful as like a navigating light or a walking around town type thing. It's more of a tool for inspection and curing materials and things like that. So here's the laser. This is the class 1 level. I have it right in between the two pots, about 4 feet off the ground. And I think you could be able to see it with the camera. If not, it is pretty bright. It's a kind of a standard laser pointer. But if I press and hold that laser button, you can see I'm cycling between low, high, low, high. That high laser, holy smokes, that thing is bright. You could see this a long ways away. Also with this green laser, it kind of looks like the dot gets a little bit bigger the further out it goes. And that's actually pretty common with like astronomy lasers. You're trying to point something out a long ways away, or if you point out in the sky, the green laser, something that's really cool about it is it'll leave a little trail of light if there's any humidity in the air. So if you're trying to point stars and stuff out to people, the green laser will actually leave a little trail, which is really cool. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn the floodlight mode on with the laser on. And you can see the laser is still very visible. I'm going to go ahead and cycle through the low, medium, and high mode. So low, medium, high, low, medium, high. The green laser is very visible in the floodlight mode. Now here is the spotlight mode. And to the naked eye, I can easily see the laser in the center of the spot there, even at the high setting. Now at turbo, low, medium, high. Now even at turbo, I can see the green laser pretty clearly. It might be a little harder to see on the camera, but we'll just have to see how it turns out. But that green laser in the high setting, even at turbo and spotlight, you can definitely see where it is. Okay, so that was it for the outside testing. I hope it was helpful. Let's head back in and wrap this up. Okay, we're back inside from the outside testing. What do you guys think? I'm really impressed with this light. The versatility that this light offers is just something you don't find on most flashlight products. If you need a UV light that day, boom, got one. If you need a laser to point something out, boom, you got one. Need a super bright, floody floodlight? Boom, 1,500 lumens, no problem. And honestly, my favorite mode on this light is probably the spotlight. It's got a really nice beam pattern to it. It reaches out a good distance. It's just a really usable kind of spotlight for you know, hiking, walking around in dark areas, like if you work at a factory or something like that, you're walking in from your car. It's plenty bright for just general everyday carry type tasks, which is who I think this light is really intended for. You're not a search and rescue person who has, you know, a 10-pound light strapped to your back. This is just something in your pocket for when you need it. You know you're going to need it throughout the day, but you don't really know just what you're going to need. Maybe you're an inspector and you need the UV light periodically. Maybe you're a teacher and you need the laser pointer periodically. Maybe you have to walk to school or work in the dark from the parking lot, stuff like that. This is going to be the perfect light for you. And the fact that it has USB-C recharging now makes this light a home run in my opinion. The only real criticism I had of the Arkfeld was you could only charge it with the magnetic tail cap, which means if you accidentally left this light on, it got turned on in your backpack or something, and it went dead, you didn't have a way to charge it. No one really carries those MCC charging cables around with them. So if you don't have one, you're out of luck. But the simple fact that this light has a built-in USB-C port means that no matter where you are, you'll be able to charge this light. And I really like that for an EDC light. So quick summary, you have a maximum output of 1,500 lumens, you have USB-C recharging, a nice little pocket clip, you have 4 different lighting modes, a spotlight, a floodlight, a UV light, a laser, and just a really intuitive interface. You know, for the laser, you just hit that side button, boom, laser. To turn the light on, all you have to do is toggle to whatever mode you want, and boom, turn it on, you're in business. And the LED indicator on the inside here do a really good job telling you what the battery status of the light is and what power mode you're currently in. So this light literally does it all. And I highly recommend it. No, actually, that's an understatement. I demand you get this light. Okay, well, maybe I don't demand, but if you're in the market for an EDC light, honestly, I think this light should be at the top of your list. Unless you have a very specific use case where you know you need a 5,000 lumens light, or you know you need a super powerful UV light to cure resins and stuff at work. I think for an EDC role, this is really the perfect light. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, the best compliment you can give this channel is share this video with a friend who you think could use an EDC light such as this Olight ArkPro. And that's the end of the video. You're still here? Well, hey, check this video out. I think you'll like it too.